I don't take nothing that a doctor don't prescribe. I just take Paxil, Xanax, Zoloft, Flomax, morphine, Valtrex, Flonase, Plavix, codeine, Zyrtec, Zoma, Zantac, Ultram, Zocor, Zipro, Prozac, dopamine, Demerol, Lexapro, Tylenol, Vicodin, Lyrica, Lipitor, and Adderall, but I don't do no drugs, man.
Hey guys, we're back. And of course, for those of you who may not be familiar with me, I'm Dr. Amy Beard, and I am joined by Anna Allen, who is on my team. Thank goodness. And she helps me do these podcasts. She gets everything together, comes up with great ideas, whatever's kind of trending, or just things that we see on a day-to-day basis that we feel like need to be addressed.
Right.
And there's always something,
Always
right?
something.
Always something.
Yes.
And one of the things that has come to the attention of both myself and you is it's like where functional medicine has kind of gotten off track from what we feel it should be. The term functional medicine means starting to mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And when I first became aware of this, I'm going to call it a movement.
Yeah.
It was all about, uncovering and addressing the root causes of people's illnesses. That's how I saw it. Now, when you go through your training, you are kind of inundated with a lot of natural things to help people with their symptoms and nudge people back into a balance. And that's great, and those things certainly have their applications. We use them, but I feel like it's turning into the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
With a lot of expensive protocols and this month's magic supplement, or this magic food, cure-all food, this magic mushroom, or this biohack. And I know we've talked about this before, but it's a big industry. And I think probably at the root of this is money,
Right.
and fame.
Yeah.
Who can ever get out there first with this newest whatever, and then make a lot of money.
Yeah. And I think, when you first began, this was like a new thing. You probably didn't have social media going around. It was like people would hear of it and you were doing good things, but it really wasn't well known. You had to be really desperate probably to come to that place and find other options. Now it's everywhere. It's on social media. I mean, you see it on TV. You have huge wellness influencers. Now that we have the rise of influencers, you have wellness influencers.
You have the Waltons getting in the game now,
Yeah.
So it has really taken off.
Which tells you something. I mean, there is a big sense in which people are they're following.
People want it. It's a product people want. Now, I don't know the product that they're going to get is what is really what they need.
Right.
Because again, unfortunately, money tends to rule this world.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everybody is motivated by money, and I'm not saying making money doing this is a bad thing.
Right.
I mean, I make money.
There's opportunities.
I have a business,
There's opportunities.
But when I first started out, and I think, I opened a concierge medical practice in 2013, just because I knew there had to be a better way. I kept, I was in the ER, and I'd worked in a family medicine residency, and just saw that whatever this was, it was not what I wanted to be a part of. It's not why I became a doctor. And so, I had that chance meeting with a functional medicine doctor around 2015, and it just completely changed my course.
Right.
And I made this decision. It was not an easy decision to make. I just knew I could not do what I was doing. And the money really, I didn't care about the money. Although I was still moonlighting in the ER and in urgent care centers while I was growing my practice, I had to,
Right.
but I just kind of, I was like, it's okay if I don't make what I could make in the insurance model, because at least I know I'll be doing the right thing and what really works.
Yeah, and I think you see a lot of good practitioners. The mindset of a good practitioner is someone who had to do a lot more to, maybe make ends meet, or when they first started out, and now maybe they've become successful, or they're got a practice rolling, or they're helping a lot of people, but it wasn't, I'm going to join this field because
I'm going to make a lot of money. That is
Right.
never why people
Yes.
hopped on the functional medicine wagon. It was not that at all. And most of us had to hustle.
Right.
To get it off the ground, working 3 jobs at one time. But we knew that we were on to a better way.
Yeah.
And so we've seen a shift, and I saw it early on. It was just this heavy dependence upon lots and lots of different supplements, and that was and bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. Not that I'm, there's not a time and place for that, although my views on that have changed. My views have changed on a lot of things since I've been in this game.
Yeah.
But now we see there's so many people jumping in with all the latest and greatest biohacks, and of course, there's people out there selling $8,000 mitochondrial detoxification programs.
Right.
That is not necessary. So if you come across that and you're tempted, just please scroll on by.
Yep.
Please.
Yeah.
So, we need to have an honest conversation about where this is headed.
Yeah. I think to start the conversation, you've mentioned several things. What is functional medicine as it was intended?
Yeah.
If we could just start there.
I feel like the most honest answer is a process that through, medical investigations, really understanding the person, their lifestyle, their entire life, their timeline, looking at that and understanding when and where things started to go wrong, what's really driving these symptoms, and then coming up with the best possible solution to overcome that in a way that doesn't harm the body, and maybe also kind of speed up the process a little bit, so long as there's just a happy medium to do that. And every single person is different. Yes. I wish I had X-ray vision eyes where I can look into your body and go, oh yeah, this is exactly what you need. I can't. Even with the best testing, it's still, people are different. People don't have the same test results. And if you treated them the same, they're going to have different results.
Yes. I was actually just listening to a training podcast on just a topic that I was interested in. She made a really good point talking about how you have the group that are wellness influencers, and what they are doing is they're using an N=1 equation. What worked for me is going to work for my 10,000 followers. Mm-hmm. And she made the key point, the difference between that and a practitioner and what you truly do in functional medicine is someone who never takes the same approach for every person.
Right.
Someone who's seen it a lot more than just what they've experienced.
Right.
They've seen many patients, many people with different conditions, and they've had to really investigate and dive deep.
Yes. And I mean, that there are certain foundational principles that I feel apply for most everybody that we can clearly say this is more than likely going to be good for you. But there comes a time when you really have to be careful what advice you start giving people when you do not know them at all. Because that's just, and I have to watch myself, because people are always coming up to me.
Yeah, on social media too.
Even just out and about, at church or family or wherever people might see me, and they want to tell me about something like, what should I do? I'm like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
The only thing I could tell you is go get the Live Well course and planner
Right.
and start there.
Right.
Because those are the things I can say definitely are not going to hurt you.
And they're going to help.
And they're going to help. You know, this is a great place to start. And if you did them, you might not even need to see me or see anybody else.
Right.
And that's about as much as I can say.
Yeah. I mean, even I have people in my circle that it's like, oh, I have this random symptom, or I want to heal my gut. What do I do? And it's like, well,
why is your gut in the state it
what
is?
What supplement should I take
Yeah.
for this? And it's like, well, you know, like I have to know more. Like I need to know
So
more
frustrating.
about your life. I need to know more about you. We need something to go
Yeah.
off of.
And I have the same people do that all the time.
Yeah.
Like they come into different symptoms, and I'm saying the same thing. We need to sit down and talk about what's going on.
Right.
You know, why are you having this symptom now? What happened? Well, I don't know. It just happened. No, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
There's some background going on there. You
Yeah.
know, it's a red flag saying your body is.
What's been happening in your life that's gotten to you this.
And it goes well beyond what you're, you know, eating or working out, or so much of it is, you know, stress related and toxin exposures, and you just don't know until you start really doing a thorough investigation.
Right.
But people don't want to pay for that,
or spend the time.
Yeah.
You know, some people are like, I'll pay for whatever, but don't tell me to change my life. You know.
Yeah, or they're really wanting that quick fix that a lot of the biohacks and supplement companies, they're kind of like falling right in line with the pharmaceutical ads. You know, that quick fix, and I'm sorry, but if you're expecting to turn your life around in a matter of a month, don't waste your money.
Yeah.
Come go see somebody when you have accepted the fact that this is probably going to take multiple months.
Yes.
Now,
or longer.
Yeah. I've seen people do amazing things in 3 months. They were very dedicated. They did what we told them to. Some people can take a year, 2 years because of what has transpired over the course of their life and what's really going on. Those are typically people who are older and on lots of meds and missing lots of organs.
Right. Even a younger generation, though. I mean, people that come to me and are like, well, I have this, you know, these few symptoms, but I'm young and it's what I've been going through. And it's like, how long is it going to take for me to heal? And I'm like, well, think about when you started experiencing these symptoms. It was 5 and 10 years ago.
Right.
Or think about when that stressor in your life started to occur, or you started noticing red flags that have eventually now led you to this chronic place.
Yeah.
But it's been 5 to 10 years. You can't expect, you know, 5 to 10 years of impacts on your life to just
get poof,
just gone in a month.
Please, we are not magicians.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of get a little miffed when people have been going to doctor for years on multiple meds, have had surgeries, and then they come to us and we have not fixed them in 2 months. You know, and I'm just like, what did you expect? It just takes healing takes time. The body does not shift like that.
Yeah.
Especially when we're working against medications and stuff too.
Yeah.
Now kids can be a totally different story.
Yeah. Very resilient.
Kids are resilient. Teenagers can even be resilient and just
Yes.
bounce back real quickly. Even I know some adults who can. It just depends on what's going on. All right. So what are you know, I'm trying to think about when we started seeing this shift, and I would probably say over the last 5 years it's probably 5 years ago I started noticing like more and more, because it's social media. So
it is
really kind of social media driven.
Yes. It's influencer driven. It's the wellness people driven, which can be really beneficial because you have a lot of people out there who are spreading good information.
Which has been around for a long time, but now they have a voice.
Exactly. They can easily search, you know, functional medicine on their phone. They can easily search their specific symptom and get a lot of different people speaking on it. So it makes it easier. And so it's definitely, and even just our, you know, even political environment right now has made people more aware and start questioning things, and
which is, I don't know if that's a great
thing. Drive people maybe a little bit towards a more natural approach.
Yeah, I have seen a huge shift in people moving away from the pill for an ill.
Asking questions.
And starting to ask questions,
Mm-hmm.
which is always a good thing. And you need to ask questions when it comes to functional medicine too.
Yes.
You know, don't just, I would say, oh, just trust me. But no, do your,
ask questions.
And when you do your own research, I mean, do it. I don't know what your research is going to include. I will say that I've been at this for a while, and even my thoughts on a lot of things have changed. Mm-hmm. I seem to just get more and more conservative and basic, which doesn't always sell. Yep. You know, you need to have some magic in there for people to really think that, oh, this is going to work this time.
There's a biohack in there.
Yeah, you got to just spice it up, you know, and I'm like, no, it really is pretty simple. Mm-hmm. Not always, but a lot of people are.
Yeah, for most people.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot of people out there who have maybe seen this shift. They're asking questions, and maybe they're understanding, like, there is a shift, but what are the problems? What are the pitfalls in functional medicine? We know the pitfalls of conventional medicine, the pill for an ill, why there can be problems that arise going that route. But talking about functional medicine, what are the different pitfalls that come up?
So one of the things I think, the supplement industry is massive, multi-billion-dollar industry. And we use them. I think we try to use, I'm always preaching, these should not be lifelong things. They're there to help, speed up a healing process or deal with a particular symptom, but you need to always be working on why that symptom is even there. So you don't need the supplements. Although I would say maybe there are some things that we may need to take regularly. I'm not even saying daily, but regularly, because of all the things that we're being exposed to. I mean, if you don't want to take any supplements, you're going to be living on a farm, raising your own food in the middle of nowhere where there's no pollution, just no stress.
Right.
But I mean, and quite frankly, this kind of sounds appealing these days, just to get back to a simple way of life, which I think would do a lot of us a lot of good. But the supplement industry has really taken off and promised a lot of things. And I fell for a lot of that early on because I didn't know any better. And I just did not see the wonderful effects I was promised, so I pulled back from several things. My thing with the supplements is most of the times they're not going to harm you. So if you want to try it, I'm fine with that. But there are some things that people do not tolerate, especially when you start throwing in a bunch of B vitamins and I don't know why every supplement has to have B6 and B12 in it.
Mm-hmm. Every drink.
Every drink, because you can seriously get toxic on B6 and have neurological issues from it. I've seen it firsthand in my clinic when it was back in 2014, and I was like, that was the first time I really was like, whoa, Amy, you need to be careful with these things. She had B6 neuropathy because she was taking, it was like in all of her supplements. And I saw it. I was like, wow, that's right out of the gate, and I'm glad I saw that.
Yeah. And people definitely have gone to a point where they were replacing a pharmaceutical with a supplement.
Yes, which is, again, if you're taking a supplement for a symptom, the goal is to understand why you have that symptom. I'm glad, and if the supplement helps you, I'm glad if it can alleviate some of your suffering and pain, but you still have to figure out why that's a problem.
Yes. And people, I feel like when I was walking through my journey, I was handed a pile of pills. They were like, yes, we have functional lab testing. Functional lab testing is great. Here's your supplements, work on that. And there was lifestyle things involved, but in my mind, it was like the supplements or the magic thing. Mm-hmm. And so many people I talked to are the same way. They're like, I went to see a naturopath and I got blood work done and they told me I had this chronic condition. Here's a pile of supplements.
Yes.
And it happened it's happening over and over and over
And it's given us a bad name.
Yeah.
A very bad name. People are mad because they're spending
thousands and they're going from practitioner to practitioner.
And it just gives the mainstream pill-pushing doctors
Yes.
more ammo to throw at us.
Yeah.
And, and calling us quacks, which I think, well, if the shoe fits,
right.
I call them quacks, they call us, but I understand. It's like
there's logic there.
There is some logic there, and I don't want functional medicine to get a bad rap, because it is the way. It's morphed into something that it should have never morphed into. Oh, okay. Yes. So I think did we cover that one?
That was a good one. We could probably go on and on about
and there's supplements I take periodically, but I am not going to suck down and swallow a bunch of supplements every day.
Yes, just to feel okay. It's like if someone is taking all these supplements and they're taking 10 different supplements and they're feeling okay, like they're able to function off these supplements. There's something deeper going on they have to look for.
And it's okay to, like, if you're taking something, just take a break and see if you even notice anything. Yes. Some people do,
That's what I noticed the most, is when I was taking all these supplements, seeing not much change at all. So I just said, I'm doing an experiment. I'm getting off everything. That's when I noticed the change. Yeah. Because I was focusing more on my lifestyle, what was actually causing these problems, than a dependency on supplements. So you can test that out,
I encourage people to do it.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a new patient, you see all these supplements, and I'm like, okay, first of all, we're starting with a clean slate, unless you can tell me specifically this one helps. Right. If you can't, it's gone.
Right. They're like, well, it must be good. It's good for me.
If you can't say 100% this thing helps me, it's gone. And there have been people say, do not take that one away from me. I'm like, don't do it. I believe you. I had an older lady come to me. She was taking $2,000 worth of supplements every month.
Every month?
Every month.
Wow.
And we got her off of almost all of them. I think she's down to like just a handful now. Took a lot of convincing.
Right.
Because I think a lot of them just have placebo effects. There's the power of the mind is strong when it comes to that. And there are vitamin D or fish oil in the wintertime, or vitamin D and vitamin C when you start feeling sick, or some echinacea, or elderberry. Those things have a place, and oregano and colloidal silver, but you don't need to be taking this stuff every day. Kind of like the ivermectin people. Well, people are taking ivermectin on a regular basis.
Just because something is good doesn't mean you need more.
Just because something is good doesn't mean you need to be doing it all the time. It's still a pharmaceutical, and it's still having effects on your body, probably effects that you don't even fully understand.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, does God really want us using ivermectin
daily?
For
years at a time?
Or even once a week for the rest of our lives. Like, what's that about?
Right.
And I'm probably made some people mad. Oh well. Yes, I'm aware of some of the things it can do. I was prescribing it, during the midst of the nonsense we experienced a few years ago. So I know that it can help.
Yeah.
But it was for a very specific thing for a very limited amount of time, and then we were done.
Yep.
All right.
And I think also in functional medicine, there's an overemphasis on functional lab testing, because people are really intrigued by it because they're not getting testing that's showing anything at the conventional level. So they're going to their PCP or they're going to the gynecologist and they're like, I feel off. Check this.
Yeah.
And they're not getting any answers. So functional lab testing is really appealing. But are we over relying on it?
There's two groups of people. It's like test, don't guess, right? And then there's the camp of, and I kind of fall into this one is, if you get these abnormal results back, what is it going to change what I do? How is that going to change what I want you to do? I can clearly see your symptoms and where things are probably going wrong. How is this lab result going to change what I want you to do? And that sits well with some people. Some people, they want to see that lab data. And for some people, I'm like, especially when it comes to the stress profiles, the HB axis profiles that we do, sometimes those people need to see just how bad off they are.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of the one I'm like, all right, let's see. I want you to see just how bad you are, so you'll do exactly what I'm telling you need to do. We can probably see it
in their symptoms.
Yes.
And their lifestyle, but it does make a difference to a lot of people, a certain group of people who need to see it to take action.
Right.
They want to know something's off, and sometimes it gives them a lot of relief. It can bring a lot of tears and emotions into the picture because it's like, there's something going on that I'm experiencing. But I think the problem arises is when in the functional medicine world, we're just spending thousands of dollars on the lab testing.
On especially the nutrient testing that can change drastically from one day to the next. And so you did it on this day, and if you did it, a week from now, it could be very different.
Yes.
But yet you just got prescribed this supplement for that nutrient deficiency,
right. Which is affecting every other nutrient in your body.
And I'm not saying there are certainly times when I order labs. I'm an ER doctor, family. When I hear certain symptoms, I'm like, I think we might need to check in on that, because I have seen people who have ended up having, GI bleeds by checking it. They were just always feeling short of breath and tired. We get that a lot. I'm just tired and I feel short of breath and that's been stressful. Well, you don't want to just write that off. No. You probably need to get some basics. And I get basic labs on just about everybody just to make sure that there's nothing like crazy being missed, because I know they have been discounted by a lot of other people, and I don't want to do that. But again, it comes from just experience and hearing things like, that didn't sound right.
Yeah,
and they're usually very basic tests. Like it's going to cost you $50,
right?
To do, not $500.
Yeah.
And the one thing I do, I mean, it's even like, we do heavy metal testing. I think that's a pretty good one to do. Like, how bad are your levels? None of it should be there technically. I don't care if you're in the green or not, but I mean, when you have levels that are in the red, that's like, okay, that's explaining a lot right there.
Yep. Which is probably way more common now than it ever has been.
Yes.
So it is something that's important to test.
But even those tests, they're not 100%. Some people chelate a lot better and detox a lot better, so they may. It's just you have to kind of look at the whole picture again and not rely solely on a test result. Test results don't mean hardly anything unless you know the person too.
Yeah, and I think
that's very important.
The mindset around testing is, like you mentioned before, it's not, we're going to run this test, and if this marker's out of range, our one goal is going to be to get that marker in range.
Yeah.
That's more of a conventional approach of like, your thyroid levels are low, so we're going to give you some pills to get it in range, then all your problems will go away. It's not about getting them in range.
Right.
It's about, like you said, will taking this test change what I do and how I respond and what interventions I can give you and help you with.
Yeah. Like if you've got, I'm like, okay, you have SIBO, your B12 is probably going to be low. But if you're feeling really tired because you got a B12 of 200, I'm probably going to tell you to take some sublingual B12, some methylcobalamin, even maybe an injection, just to see if it might help give you some energy.
Right, but you're not blindly supplementing.
No.
You're not just guessing.
No.
Like, you have gut issues, you must have SIBO, therefore
but we're going to be working on those issues,
Yes.
Or it's like, hey, you got to pick up your intake of some high quality animal protein pronto, because your labs kind of reflect that. And if I get a crazy lab that comes back really high or really low, I'll check it again next week just to see if it was kind of a fluke. Right. Sometimes flukes exist.
Yeah.
So there's an art to testing, and I think it comes with just experience. I've done it a lot as a MD and now as a functional medicine doctor, and so it just comes with time, and I keep learning too. Like I don't hardly ever do any genetic testing.
Yeah.
The guy that made that MTHFR genetic test, he's making about 50 grand a month, I've heard. And it's not even changing anything that I do. Woohoo, you got an MTHFR gene mutation. So does everybody in the world.
Yes.
And there's multiple ones.
What are you going to do about it?
We all have polymorphism. Some of us have, yes, total knockouts here, total knockouts there. But did you know that there's other genes impacting your MTHFR genes? Did you test for those? And what are you going to do about it?
Say, what are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
It never affects what I do.
Yeah.
There you go.
What about just the idea that in order to heal, you need a 10-step or 50-step or just an overwhelming, overcomplicated protocol, and that is the only way you can heal?
Some people want that. Some people feel like it has to be that. If it's simple, it doesn't work. That's kind of the mindset of a lot of people. If it's simple, then that's just too simple. That's not going to work. Like I tell people, like when you get anxious or you feel bad, you need to go sit outside in the sun, do some deep breathing, clear your mind, and pray. And I promise you, you won't regret it. And I haven't had one patient yet regret that. No one has said, didn't help at all.
Right.
You know? But it was simple and available to all of us. We have protocols like our Total Gut Job program. It's basically an elimination and reintroduction diet that has some gut rehab in with it so that we get good results. And we have made alterations over the years to it, always trying to make it better and better. And we've learned a lot in the process about how most people tolerate it. And yeah, we'll have some people that don't do well on it, but it's usually like 5 to 10% of people. But most people do really well. And so those 5 to 10%, there's a reason why you didn't do it. And we just kind of strip it back and start looking at some, what other things might be going on. And we typically figure that out. But that doesn't mean that, you can't be helped. It just means there's something else going on in your gut that needs to be addressed first. Right. And we're always trying to work for as far upstream as possible, with stomach acid levels and stuff like that. And a lot of people who, and we talk about this later on, is ignoring their nervous system state is a big part of digestion and absorption and GI function. And so it's like some people can't tolerate the Total Gut Job and these gut rehab efforts because their body is in just such a state of panic and so stressed that it doesn't matter what you throw in there, they're not going to tolerate it.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to, like you said, the foundation's always, but especially with digestion, especially when you're taking supplements, you're throwing a lot of effort at the gut. Yeah. If you're not absorbing those nutrients,
right.
If you can't absorb a probiotic, it's not going to get you anywhere, and it could do more, harm than good.
And fortunately, we have built into the Total Gut Job, we know where things typically go wrong or can go wrong, right. And so we have tips on, like, if this happens, this is probably what's going on, back off. Anytime I just tell people, just back off, and we have, like I said, strategies in there, and we can typically start pinpointing what might not was tolerated very well. Right. Things started dying off too quickly. You didn't do well with that amount of fiber in our foundation shake. Okay, so we have to put something else instead of that. There's always workarounds, and that's just taken us a long time to figure out.
Yeah. And I think the overwhelming protocols, like you said, there might be a need for more intensive
It needs to be done in steps.
Yes, but I think a lot of the issues arise, and we've talked about social media a lot today and every other day, but you have a lot of wellness influencers with a 10-step morning routine for their perfect wellness habits, body, gut health, hormone balance.
They're 25.
You name it.
So
it's like,
they're 25 missing no organs.
Yes. Waking up to candlelight doing red light therapy immediately.
They don't have kids running around.
Mouth tape is on still. You know, they're just sipping on their tea. You know, all those things that you could just go crazy with all the things.
I'm just like, is that really your life?
Right. How much effort are you putting into
really?
That
that just seems like, I mean, wow.
Right. Yeah.
If you can achieve that and that's your life, great, hands off. But I'm thinking about myself and my patients who are like,
how can I make it to the day?
I can't even go to the bathroom by myself. There's a kid poking stuff underneath the door. You know, another kid's trying to burn the house down. You know, it's there's some chaotic households out there, and you just have to meet people where they are, and you have to do what you can sometimes.
And not rely on Instagram to be your sole reality of this is what my life should be like.
Right. Please don't fall for that. And it's easy to. I think for some people, like, wow, she just said everything that I have, and this is what I need to do.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's all coming with a cost, with the price tag.
Yeah,
and they're probably getting benefits.
And then you have this thing shows up on your door, and you don't have anybody to talk to when things don't start,
getting better.
Yeah, they're not getting better; they're getting worse, and you're just stuck with a box full of,
goodies.
Different colored capsules that you're now terrified to take.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think, going back to the nervous system, that's critical and something that we've neglected in functional medicine. And we've come back to it. I feel like people are coming back to it. The research is proving it. There's a lot of people talking about it. But, do you feel like it's been a shift more to nervous system biohacks versus just actual nervous system reset? What are the nuances with that conversation?
Well, of course, the ice baths, cold showers, red light,
acupuncture,
just doing your deep breathing, which I'm fine with all of those things. They can absolutely help you calm down. But again, if you're always needing to do these things to calm down, what's going on where you need to be taking ice plunges and cold showers every day just to feel like you can go out in the world now? Something's going on. So they're, again, treating a symptom and they're not at the root cause level.
What do you feel like is true nervous system health? Someone's like, how would I assess my nervous system? What would that look like?
That's a very good question. And I would think it would come back to just a symptom checklist. How's your digestion? How are you sleeping? Your mental state, respiratory stuff. Anything that I can see where like mast cells destabilization is occurring, because stress provokes that a lot. If you're tired, feeling wired, nervousness, anxiety, racing thoughts. There's a whole, because it affects all your nervous system affects your entire body. So you kind of have to start looking at it that way too, a whole body system. Now, if I have somebody who's just got like stuffy nose and some joints and pains, and like I don't ever minimal stress, I'm sleeping fine. Well, it's not a nervous system issue. But when you see the people who are like, I am tired, can't sleep, nervous, irritable, digestive issues on top of that, and then, or I can't lose weight, or I'm losing a lot of weight, then you probably have a person who's got some, in that fight or flight state, or has just been chronically stressed for a long time.
And we preach that a lot of like, you cannot heal.
The blood sugars are chronically high.
You can't heal in that state.
And that's a tough one for people, because we have a lot of patients who have been very diligent with what we've had them do. You know, they follow the diet to the T. They've cleaned up their environment. We've done general detoxes on them, but their blood sugars are still high. And when you talk to them, they'll tell you stress at work is just overwhelming, or they have their own business and they're overwhelmed. And I'm like, as much as I would love to be able to make that go away, or to give you a magic pill to make your blood sugars come down, that's a big driver, and I don't have the answer. Mm-hmm. That's going to be between you and God as to what needs to happen right there. And they don't like to hear it. You know?
It's hard because you come
to
someone and you're like, help, I need help. I'm not feeling good. Haven't felt my best in a while. And it's a hard pill to swallow when you say the reason that you're not feeling good is because of, maybe the life they've created, or the season of life they're in. So I think...
Because bad things happen. Mm-hmm. It's life. Mm-hmm. And there's seasons, like you said, there's seasons, there's phases and stages. Some things, life just happens, and I'm sure most of you know that and have experienced it.
Yes. It's more about building resiliency in your body than, taking away all the pain and stress of life.
Sorry, there's going to be that.
Yeah.
and hopefully, you will grow through that too. There's a verse in the Bible, count all, I guess, paraphrasing, all your trials is be joyful for them because God is, doing great things in you. And so you kind of have to keep that's really the end goal, right? To become more Christ-like and be the entity that God wanted you to become. And sometimes that can be painful. And it's not, and sometimes when it happened to me, even here lately, you're like, you start to question God's love. And I didn't mean to get off track right about this, but it's, and even then he says, I still love you, but I need you to go through this. But I'm right here. Mm-hmm. But it's for your own benefit. Right. It's kind of like your biological father going, just showing tough love. It's like, I know you don't like this, and you think I don't love you, but you've got to do this, and it's for your own good. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of how it is with Abba,
Yeah, and I think it comes down to our last point is how functional medicine often ignores the foundations. And, like you preach all the time, that's going to get you
because it doesn't sell.
Right.
Let's be honest here. It does not sell.
No. It's not glamorous, but it's essential.
It's not magic. Mm-hmm. It's not the newest and greatest. This
but if you want
that.
someone, like we talked about nervous system, their nervous system is in a chronic state of flight and fight. Their adrenals have lost significant...
Just flatlined.
Yes, lost significant function or function at all. And they're like, but I can't get rid of this thing in my life that maybe is contributing to that. But that's when you have to let the foundations step in.
And you don't wait for a time when you're going to feel motivated to do it, because you're not going to feel motivated when you're in that state. But when you start, sometimes you just got to make yourself do it. You just got to put on your big girl panties, get up out of the bed and do it. And then motivation comes.
Yeah.
It's in reverse. It's in the reverses for most people when they're thinking about that. You don't wait to get motivated. You start doing these things that will then motivate you because you start to feel better, and then you're motivated. But man, it's hard some days when you're feeling hopeless and like nothing's working. I don't want to do anything. And you just have to like, I've got to do this, and sometimes it's not, you're not even doing it out of your own strength. God is.
That's a big one.
Because that's where your strength comes from. It's like some people, I've told my story to some people, not publicly, but they're like, I don't even know how you're alive. I'm like, I do.
Right.
And so be careful what you ask God for. I asked God for unshakable faith, a peace that passes all understanding, and joy. And he was like, up for the challenge.
Right.
And it is, it can be very, very growing in that way. It can be very painful. But I know that the reward will be so great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. And, the foundations are, one of the biggest places to start.
They're biblical.
And God is a part of that.
Yes, and God is absolutely
He's at the center of it.
Please don't leave him out. Mm-hmm. Even though you may feel like he has completely abandoned you, he has not. Just don't leave him out, and do all the foundations will get you can pull you out of some deep places. They really can. Just giving yourself nourishing food that he created, getting out in the sun that he created, moving your body in a way that it starts helping your mind and your body feel better the way that he created. Don't become a hermit like I am prone to do when I feel bad. I think we all do. You have to get out there and be amongst your close people, the people who aren't going to judge you for, maybe not feeling all that great and being happy-go-lucky,
or judge you for the lifestyle changes you're making.
Yeah, or that too. But who are there to walk alongside you in those. Don't leave them out and don't pull away, and because that's the way God designed this. You weren't supposed to be on your own little island trying to do it all yourself. You were supposed to be with a group of believers who we can pull. When one falls, we're pulling them up. And that's very, very important, especially when you're facing a lot of health trials.
Yeah. And if you haven't heard it enough in this episode, Live Well is a great place to start if you are facing any of these issues.
I realize we've had that out there the whole time. It's our little mic carrier case.
Live Well is a great place.
Yeah, this is really. There will probably be a new rendition coming out. I don't know when. There's a lot of things I want to change in it and more to make it more simple to use. I think it overwhelmed people a lot because they thought they had to use every little tool in there, and that's not the case. But this covers all of what I feel are the foundations, and coming from a biblical perspective. And there's also a lot of podcasts involved where Paul and I kind of just talk about the topics that we feel people need to know, and where there's a lot of misunderstanding out there in the world. And the people who have used this have said that they got great results, but again, it takes time.
It does take time.
It's a 3-month planner.
It's a tool.
It's a tool.
Sure.
It's a tool for sure.
Alongside,
you could, even if you were working with another functional medicine doctor, you can, use this along with it.
Yeah.
You can use it as I know families who just did it all together and made great, and they still come up to me like, oh my goodness, you changed our family's life. And I'm like, oh, that's great. What did you learn? And they're like, there's just so much. And it's cool when you hear that, because this was really about helping people.
Yes. And
not need to go see me. You
right.
know?
Yeah. This is where you start. And we also have some future exciting updates coming.
We do.
A lot of this that we discussed today.
Yeah. So just stay tuned for that. There's big things on the horizon that I'm excited about. You're excited about. There's a team of really knowledgeable people coming together on one platform to share a lot of wisdom and knowledge, who aren't after your pocketbooks per se.
Affordable and accessible.
Affordable and accessible. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll let you know about that real soon.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you learned something.
I don't take nothing that a doctor don't prescribe. I just take Paxil, Xanax, Zolap, Flomax,